Hello, hi there. I'm over here by the sink. Just finished putting my celery in the dehydrator, so hopefully you've watched that video at some time, or I'll put it somewhere, maybe a card or a link to it. But I was sitting at work the other day and I made up a recipe. Now, please understand, I've made this before out of a cookbook, but I didn't feel like digging in to find the cookbook, but I remembered most of it, and a lot of it was using spaghetti sauce as my base. So I'm calling this Beverly Super Delicious Spanish Style Rice for Two with some leftovers. So anyway, what else did I put over here? Oh, I need some oregano. Alright, so I'll go out in the garden and get some fresh oregano. So what do I have here? Well, I had bought this 3-pound thing of beef from Kroger. And I don't buy the 90-10. This is the 73%, 27%, because as I've learned by doing keto, and that fat's good for me. So, and it's more flavorful. And so when I cook the beef in this recipe, I am not draining the fat off of it. Now, if you decide to do this recipe and you want to drain the fat off of it, it is perfectly fine with me. You can do that. Okay? So what's not showing here is oregano, because I still have to go out and get some. But I harvested some basil that's got flowers on it. By the way, flowers are edible. But I said for basil, what did I say? 2 tablespoons dried or 1/4 cup chopped basil. So I've got more basil over there in the container. So if I get a 1/4 cup, I'm good with the leaves. I don't do the stems, but with the leaves, I'll chop those up. Had this onion in the refrigerator, so I've got another one. And so I love onions. So it says 1 medium onion diced. I'm going to take all of this because I love my onions. I've got my peppers from, this one's splitting, but these are all from my garden, and I may add more peppers. How much pepper? I said 1 ripe bell pepper diced. It can be red and yellow, orange, but not green. And the reason not green is because green is bitter. So I always like ripe, and if you find your peppers on sale, like I used to buy the big bell pepper, you only need 1. But I want it ripe. So red, orange, what's the other one? Yellow. You can do that. Alright, what else do I have here? I said 1 regular can of diced tomatoes or tomato sauce. I went in the cupboard and I find the crushed tomatoes in tomato sauce. So that's there. I'm going to use a 1/2 pound of ground meat, and the rest of this I'm going to divide up and put in my freezer. Bell pepper, 2 cloves of garlic, and I've talked in previous videos about buying the pre-peeled garlic and then putting olive oil over it. So I'm going to take a couple of those and chop them up. Chili powder, you always have to have some chili powder in here. So I said a 1/2 teaspoon. I don't need that much. Salt to taste. A tablespoon of sugar. The sugar is used to cut the acidity from the tomatoes. So that's all that. You don't have to put sugar in here. And I may put in less than a tablespoon. I've got my pink Himalayan salt, and I put in here salt to taste. So let's see what I got here. I got the hamburger, the rice, the onion, the bell pepper, garlic, chili, basil, salt, sugar, and go get oregano. And I got oregano in the garden, but I may just do some dried oregano. But this is Beverly Super Delicious Spanish Style Rice for Two that I created when I was bored to death and nobody was buying anything, and I was trying to figure out what I was going to do with that. And I have not made Spanish style rice in a long time. I've taken spaghetti sauce and, you know, made chili out of it by putting chili beans in it and that kind of stuff, and then putting it over rice. But I've never in years made Spanish style rice. I used to make this when my stepchildren would come to visit us during their summer vacation because we had a house full, so there was 3, 5, 6 of us. So I would make this as an extender of the hamburger meat, right? Because Spanish style rice is not made with hamburger. It is without meat. So if you're a vegetarian, you can make this without meat. Now, for this recipe, you will be getting pictures. I'm not going to have video of me chopping up the onion. You know how to chop up an onion, not chopping up the peppers. You know how to do that. You know how to chop. You know how to do all that stuff. I don't have to teach you how to do all that stuff. But I will show you at different stages where I am and what I'm doing with some pictures, and then I'll come back on in the end. Okay, but this is the recipe, and so let me get started. Oh well, I decided to get lazy. I bought this Hamilton Beach food processor several weeks ago. Cord's not long enough. Anyway, I bought it several weeks ago, did an unboxing video, and I haven't edited it yet. But I'm sitting here and I'm going, so you're chopping all this stuff up, why don't you just put it in your chop thing, right? I need a little bit more basil. Not a whole lot more basil, but just a little bit more basil. So I'm filling this thing up. I'm going to see what it does, how well it actually will chop these up. Now, if you've seen other videos of mine, you know that I manually chop everything. This is probably too full, but I'm going to find out. I'm going to see what it does, because we got leaves, we got onions in here, we've got peppers. I put the garlic in here, the garlic cloves in here. I put everything. Everything except the meat and the salt and pepper and sugar. So it has a slicing blade that goes on top, but I don't need that. And we've got this, and it sits down like that. Now, I've got to move it over closer to the outlet behind my air fryer and my bread machine. So I'm going to get it plugged in, and then I'll move you. Okay? So it's behind the air fryer and the bread machine, because that's where I keep them, on my counter. So I had started the slice, and then the brilliant idea came to me. So if it gets noisy, I'll actually turn off the sound. But so this says pulse to chop. Let's see if everything's mixing in while the leaves are still on the top, but they're coming down into it. Now this is going to be smaller than I normally do, but I think they are just right. Let's see what happened. Well, I got one piece that didn't go through, but that's okay. But look, it's chopped, and it's not mushy. It's not chopped. Oh, it smells good. Oh, that with the garlic in there, it smells really good. I'm not going to chop this anymore, because I really like my veggies so that I can see them. So let's take a look at this again. So look how nice and chopped they are. So I used the pulse to chop. There's a slice and shred. Well, that's that. And then there's a puree. We do not want puree. So I just did a few pulses. So there's a slicer, there's a shred. So I guess that's the slicer and that's the shredder. I can use that when I'm using my ginger to make my ginger drink, my Switzel. Switzel's out there somewhere. There's a recipe in my cooking stuff for Switzel. So that's that. So my next thing I'm going to do, might as well do it on camera since I've been doing everything else. So I am pleased with my new food processor, and I'll chop this one little piece of basil up to go in there. Right? Okay, so this is 3 pounds. So 1, 2, I'm going to, because there's no marks on the side of here to say how much something weighs. So, very simply, I'll get the scale out. Piece of paper on top. I'm going to cut about here. What did I say? 1/2 pound. Right? 4 ounces per person. Right? So turn it on. It's on grams the last time I used. Oh no, it's on ounces. So good. I'm going to take it out of the paper. Oh, I am too cool. I am too cool. I want you to see this because it says, let me see, this tripod thing, gotta get it so it goes. But what's it say? Even with the shading, 8.7 ounces. Am I good? Or am I good? I got a 1/2 pound, just 1 pound, 1/2 pound and 1 ounce. So almost 9 ounces. I did a good guess to get my 1/2 pound. So that's the meat for 2. Now, if I want to make enough that, I got all these vegetables. It's really a lot of vegetables. So we may not need as much as, what. But I love a lot of vegetables and not a lot of meat. So I'm going to modify this just a little bit so that we have just a little bit more. Let's see how much this is. How much this is going to take this to. So almost 13 ounces, not quite a pound. So I'll divide this up and get it in the freezer a little bit later. All right, so I'm going with these 12.8 ounces of ground beef, and now I'm going to go and get the frying pan out and start to brown my meat. And you'll see what I'll do with the rice in a little bit. Okay? All right. Yeah, I said I wasn't going to record all this stuff, but I wanted to show you. I am using a larger pot. I'm not using the frying pan because I'm doing everything in one pot. So I'm going to get the meat browned, and then after that there's going to be fat off the meat, and I'm going to put the vegetables in and brown them. Well, I've got this all brown, and what has happened, this is supposed to be 73% meat, 27% fat, but I've had 80-20 beef give me more fat in the bottom of my pan than this one. I mean, there's not very much fat in the bottom of this pan, if you can see it. So I'm going to add a little bit of the olive oil that has garlic in it to the pan. It's probably about a tablespoon or so of it. And then so where am I? Right here. So I'm going to take my chopped vegetables. Oh, I see a couple pieces that didn't get chopped up. So I'm going to put those off to the side a little bit. Some of the peppers didn't get totally chopped up, like these two. I'll chop them up by hand and get them back in here. But I do like the way this Hamilton Beach has chopped. This is better than the Oscar one I had. This chops so much better. We'll chop up those other peppers and get those sauteed, and then I will be back. Okay, so just right. Alright, so I've got the vegetables all sauteed. Alright, they probably absorbed most of the oil by now, but got those done, got those few pieces of pepper done. So I'm going to put the meat back in. Stir those up. Now, this is obviously going to be more than enough for two. Alright, rice. Parboiled rice, balsamic rice, jasmine rice. I don't like medium grain. I like long grain rice, so you can, whatever rice is good for you. So I'm mixing that all in. Mix it throughout. Stir that up. I don't have my gloves. Alright, so I got that. Over here on the side is my container with sugar. So I'm going to take 1 tablespoon. And Mr. Ashley, I'm not going to use the whole tablespoon. Half a tablespoon. So I looked at it, I said, nah, that's too much. Alright, I'm not going to add the salt now. I'm going to add the salt after it's been cooked. Okay, so, and I also added the oregano. Got some oregano. Alright, so this is all stirred up, ready to go. And now I have my can of crushed tomatoes. I'm going to put that in there. A little bit side. Now, because I'm cooking the rice in this, right? A lot of tomatoes. Probably could use a smaller can, but we'll see. I'm going to do half this can with some filtered water, because I have a filter in my kitchen. A pure filter. Alright. Oops. I'm being sloppy. Okay. So I've got a cup of rice in here, not a half a cup. Because I did more beef and I got all these veggies. And you said, well, Bev, you said this was for 2. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to freeze some of this. Because it should freeze fairly well. The rice might get a little soggy in the freezing, but that's okay. So we'll come back. Like I said, this is Beverly style. So I probably could have used like a 16 ounce. Well, this is 28 ounces. I could have used like half of this in there with more water. So this is going to have more tomato taste. And I need to taste this. Yes, I am going to put in the other half a tablespoon of sugar. And I'm going to go ahead and put in a half a teaspoon of salt. No pepper. I'm not a pepper person. If you're a pepper person, you can put pepper in. Okay, but I'm not a pepper person. I might put some in when I'm in the process of eating. Oh, the chili powder. I almost forgot the chili powder. Now, my mother used to put in, I'll put this on really low. My mother used to put in a lot of chili powder. I'm putting in a tablespoon of chili powder. All right, I may need to add a little bit more water to this later, but I'm putting on the lid. It is on super low, and we're going to let this simmer till the rice is done. We'll be back now. Okay, well, for me, this is done. Now, for you, you might want more rice. For me, this is perfect. Now, some recipes you see, there's a whole lot more rice and less tomato. But this is perfect for me. And so, I used a cup of rice. So, when you're looking at your recipe, you can use half as much onion and pepper and, you know, hamburger. I used, what did I use, 11 ounces? Not quite a pound. 3/4 of a pound. But this is more than enough, and it gives me all my veggies, it gives me my tomatoes, and it gives me, what else? It gives me basil, the flavor of basil, so it's really flavorful. It was probably about 30 minutes at simmer. And the rice is done, right? Put a little bit on a plate. And probably, you know, I could use a little bit more meat. I could have used the half a pound. But remember, this is mainly for me. This is more than enough for two, and as I said, I can put it in the freezer and have it for a later meal. Oh my, I can taste the veggies. The veggies are good. Okay, what do I want to add to this? I'm going to add a little bit more salt. And surprisingly, a little bit more chili pepper. Right? Now put the chili away in my cupboard. So, and I'm not a chili person, but I figure I'm putting in about 1/4 of a teaspoon to a half a teaspoon more chili powder. My mother, when she would make chili, it would be almost 2 tablespoons full of chili powder. And I went, I don't know about all that. But I'm telling you, because I'm a vegetable person, because I love my onions, right? I love my onions and my green peppers. That's why I have so many pepper plants out back. And like I said, I didn't do, what you want to call it, California Wonders, the big ones. I just did the small ones like you buy in the grocery store in the packages of all the different colors. So I got, and I took the seeds from the peppers I bought in the grocery store, and I bought seeds from Park Seed Company to do that. And then, so I had both out there. And when you use the seeds from the ones in the store, you never know what you're going to get because it could have been a hybrid. But anyway, this. It's hot. but it's good. You could have, like I said, you could use less ingredients, and you could use more rice for more people. But I like it like this. Some people, Spanish rice, usually you see all the rice, right? Well, this is tomato with rice. And it's not spaghetti sauce with rice. This is Beverly super special, awesome, delicious Spanish style rice. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe, hit the bell so you know whenever I'm putting up a video, whether it's law of attraction, Neville Goddard, gardening, sewing, cooking. Join me. This is Beverly Fells Jones, the Silver Fox of Consciousness. Thank you for being with me. As you have believed, let it be done to you, and it is so.